Hello, hello. Been an interesting day. I did a live earlier that I've since deleted, um, but where I got completely and totally distracted. My mother started making weird faces that were unhappies and other things in her attendance, and it completely distracted me. And the whole message was lost, so I had a chat with her, but very strange day. I didn't expect that. That's never happened before. So, where do we begin? So, we're co creating a new reality. Those of you that are doing it probably have a feeling inside that something's changing and something's shifting. You maybe been through some illnesses and sicknesses the last little while. I've seen some people on Facebook with massive flu symptoms, fevers. These are all things that I've went through twice in a row here in the last 2 to 3 weeks. But energy and vibration is shifting. And there became a point yesterday when I was in the middle of my misery because I was just like drooling and burning eyes and just questioning all this discomfort. And eventually it just got to a point where I had to rise up. I was so attached to and beat upon by my past stories and past experiences and all this kind of stuff. There came a point where I got triggered into, I'd call it a rage, but demanding better for me. And it was exactly the accelerant I needed for something really magical to happen, to kind of turbocharge myself out of my misery and the trap that a couple years of a virus going on and a couple years of real testing and in a lot of ways darkness, losing my home, losing all these things, being attached and attacked by all these different energies, watching like crazy drivers and women approaching and then trying to pervert me or distort me into something that I didn't want to be, and all these really uncomfortable, some would say dark situations. And I learned through them all. I rose up and I got to observe and I got to witness. And at one point in my life, I would have been what I call butt hurt by those things and just crashed and burned in it. And lately, each time those opportunities come up, I got to set boundaries and I got a chance to choose me and a chance to choose self-love and to see what they wanted and see how they wanted to cage me or just get me to distort myself. And I got a choice to say no anymore. It's really nice. It's so bizarre and abstract, but I'm starting to realize I'm creating a new reality. I'm contributing to a new reality where what I create is centered around my self-love and giving love to other people. And sometimes that love doesn't always feel really rosy like a bouquet of flowers. Sometimes that love is setting a strong boundary. Sometimes that love is saying no more. I'm not going to deal with that kind of stuff. But setting a stage for integrity, a stage for direct communication, a stage for vulnerability, a stage for open-heartedness, a stage for new community and new ways of interacting with people, a stage for talking about things like sacred sexuality, which I love to talk about, and that scares a lot of people. But the new world that I'm creating has innocence and purity around these things. I've spent a very long time sitting in a mire of programming and belief and old stories and crap. And I'm finally at a place where I can stand amongst all that stuff and speak in truth. And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And that's okay, because we have to go back to our sexuality. We have to go to our birthright of having embodiment and loving our body and loving how it looks and loving pleasure and touch and then interaction with other people, so that we can worship our body and worship their bodies. This is the new reality I'm creating. And I bring a set of skills and knowledge that not many wanted to bring in, because it's fighting so much of accepted belief, so much programming, so much religious programming, so much control programming. And we're each bringing a facet into this reality. We're building a new collective reality. This reality is filled with a whole bunch of distortion and versions. And we're being asked, each of us that have the call, to architect a new reality, to bring in certain facts in their purified form and provide that knowledge, provide that truth to people, so that they can begin to make a choice to get back on the path that was before all this inversion, all this distortion, to get back on self-love, to get back in their body and trust their body and no longer be in fight or flight, or in their nervous system being in control. And those are massive things. To teach people the tools through my example of how to ground yourself in the middle of a massive trigger of a past trauma or story, to how to ground yourself to have a deep communication with another person, how to ground yourself when your body is so terrified it wants to run away, but you're learning to accept that part of you that's scared, and to sit with that part of you that's scared, and to hold them as that fear is explored. And then eventually you find out it's not fear, it's resistance, it's programming, it's things telling us that we're going to die or get hurt or be wounded or harmed. But it was because our warrior was shut down, our ability to process, our ability to stand in presence with that part of ourselves, maybe our inner child, maybe our teenager. There's a whole bunch of levels where people are trapped at. And the only way through is to sit with them, is to explore them, to have those experiences and sit and have the tools shared with other people. Have your nervous system in regulation by touch, by having other people participate, or being able to speak and hold presence with yourself. These are all gifts and tools that aren't readily discussed, aren't readily shared, that I want to bring forth. These are tools that should be at the base of our human existence, is how to deal with emotion and to feel emotion to its depth, and have someone sit with us so that we can go to the bottom of an emotion and realize it won't kill us. It doesn't cause us harm. Once we know why those emotions are there, they're guiding us to better understanding of ourselves. And these are the gifts and tools that a new reality has to have to be a baseline. You can't build anything in a new reality until you have these basic self-care tools, I guess is what I'd like to call them. So I bring forward into my new reality all these tools, all this ability to create workshops, to create centers, to create temples, to create places where people can go and start to self-explore with other people that want to self-explore. And then they're given the tools through the knowledge. And you only learn those tools. A person can't share those until they can do it by example in themselves. So to become more evolved into our self-mastery, where we can hold any energy that shows up within ourselves, we first start by experiencing it through another person, seeing them hold it, seeing them hold their temper, hold their anger, hold their frustration. The first time I saw it in a workshop with some other people, and it wasn't even a workshop on dealing with the tools, but two adults disagreed with each other, and they had a very terse but vulnerable and direct conversation about what their feelings were and how they were uncomfortable with something. And in a very short amount of sentences, that person's frustration or their trigger was expressed so the other person could see it, but in a vulnerable, self-accountable way. And the whole room sat afterwards and said, what the hell was that? That was crazy amazing. These are the tools we all need. These are the tools where we can have a fight with someone or an angry words with someone, and we, instead of going directly into anger or pushing away, we can start to say, oh, okay, something's insecure inside of me. I'm going to sit with that insecure part. And then next time, that insecure part doesn't feel so insecure. You may not be able to deal with it in that situation, but we learn some basic tools. Excuse me, hold on, we're going to pause for a sec. I'm not sure what's going on right now. Excuse me, I need a breath. And then we step back, and then we self-observe, and we start to see, and we start to care about ourselves, and I love that little part that's scared or angry or frustrated. And we don't have places we can learn that yet. I want to build workshops. I want to build spaces and experiential things where we go in and get triggered and try being triggered. And before we even start, we learn all the tools to be able to self-explore and to self-soothe and self-regulate. And then once you have those, all of a sudden, it's not a thermonuclear war where you're tossing grenades when you're having an argument with someone. You're now being really clear and discreet and holding your temper and holding your energy. These are the things that are the base to come out of this 3D experience that I want to share with the world. I want to share with people. And once you have those tools, you can walk into anything. I go and slay dragons sometimes and go into the dungeons all the time. It's called shadow work. Once we have these tools, we go in and find the places, explore our edges, and be confident in ourselves that we can handle anything that shows up. That's self-mastery. That's what we need to go to the next levels. The fourth and fifth levels of vibration is to start to know ourselves and love ourselves, and then go forward, because you can conquer anything. It's kind of like those outdoor activity camps where you go and you jump on a zip line and you do all these kind of things. You go and challenge your edge or your fear. That's the closest thing that I know that's to what I want to bring into this world is experiential workshops. Where do you go to your edge? Where do you go to your edge in having a fight with a person or be triggered by someone, and to go into that space where somebody's on the outside watching and observing and coaching and helping to find that balance. And then once you have that balance, it's a key to our self-mastery of us as a human being. We've been trained into being mad and being angry and just going and exploding like bombs or not dealing with it. And now we're going to get there and sit, and it's like, oh, I'm fucking angry. I want to kill somebody. Breathe. Let's go off to the corner for a minute, and who you mad at? I don't think it's this person. There's something else. Let's go look at it. What's going on? Maybe they don't want to do it right now, but they know it's there now. And then we have this magic space of now being aware of a fragment of ourselves that was out of control, that we were scared of, that we didn't want to deal with, that might hurt somebody, etc. Where do we go for those workshops? We go to a place where somebody else that's already done that and knows it in themselves can sit and hold you in the vibration of it. And I'm not talking hold by touch. I'm talking holding a container and saying, I know that rage. I can come there and stand right beside you and be that rage with you. But guess what? There's a choice right here. That rage can overwhelm and bubble over, or you can sit it and you can contain it. And all of a sudden, you have this pure light of intention. I'm going to walk through this. I'm going to deal with this, and I don't have to hurt anyone. I don't have to smash and crash. It's like, I am not allowing this to happen. I am not I'm setting a boundary. I'm not continuing on this path. I'm not letting this to continue. I'm going to say no. I'm going to use my power and force for good to a contained level so that I can feel safe. I can trust myself. I can step forward. I can be magic. And until you've experienced that, we're missing something. And it's taken from us a lot of times as children at birth, that our worthiness and why we deserve to be able to have our choices. And it's taken from by our parents. You can't say no to me. You're not allowed to do that. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're not whatever. And then it sits with us. And yeah, requesting divine magic. We are the divine and we are in magic, but we don't know it until we take that power of that emotion into our body and then sit with it. And then that's what pure rage feels like. Rage doesn't have to hurt anyone. Rage is ever loving magic of yourself and being willing to stand in absolute divine no. And most don't know that. We are learning to be our fullest self, a part of God, a fragment of truth, and somebody that's in integrity and self-accountability and self-responsibility and dealing with what shows up and owning it in that moment so that you can get through it. You can sit in shame and guilt and hide it and pretend it's not there and blow it off and all this kind of stuff. But once you fully embody what's going on and what you're feeling and the energies with another person and have that hard conversation and all this kind of stuff, there's absolutely nothing that you can't get through. And these are the tools, and we're learning them, and we got to build spaces. And this is the new reality I'm bringing forth, is a space where everybody's empowered and they have the tools to be empowered and they have the tools to trust themselves and they have the tools to be self-accountable and vulnerable at the same time, and maybe share stuff that doesn't feel good, or maybe you don't feel safe in your body, but you can go up and you can tap on the door and say, okay, I'm being vulnerable. Something hurts here and I'm not feeling good, or I'm scared, or whatever. That's the step to the next step. And then that next step, and somebody can hear you and hold space for you. And as we're building the community that's going to create this, it doesn't exist now. It's crazy. You have lots of beautiful things here, Pamela. Allowing, being present, taking a deep breath, relaxing, keeping space. And this is all the tools that as we step into the next reality, we're going to need. And we're offering them forward, and we're creating spaces where these can be learned, and they're experiential and they're deep and they have a lot of energy with them. I want to create those spaces. And you know these spaces. So we're teaching this by our own example. We're teaching this from how we got through it. And we're learning self-mastery so we can share it with others. And in sharing it with others, then we polish more edges and more stuff shows up. And we just keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning until we're purified. And everybody's going to need these tools, because everybody's got a little bit of damage and traumas and stuff from their past and stuff that they're self-loathing and all these things. And we got to teach a tool so that they can do it. And this is stuff you can only get through in yourself. It's not like I can coach somebody through it, but I can bring them to the edge, and then they're going to make friends with that part. They're going to love that part, and they're going to know that you can keep that part in control, because it hasn't been heard for so long is the only reason why it isn't in control anymore. And it's not controlling, it's just trusting. But you're the only one that's going to decide if you're just going to smash that person and get them out of your life because that's making you feel uncomfortable, or you're going to be, excuse me, stop for a sec. I'm going to go over here and breathe because I don't know what the hell is going on in my body. And a lot of attacks and violence and other things are all people just lashing out to get it to stop so they don't have to do their work. And we're learning new ways. This is self-mastery. This is glowing. This is whatever. So what do you want to bring forth? And that's what I'm saying is we all bring these beautiful tools through our experience, and a new reality is forming. What do you want to insert into that? What's the thing that will make the biggest difference to people that you came here you've already learned or are well on your way to learning that you want to share. You want to give that example of, you want to talk to people about it. And once we know that place and we know that pure gift we're offering at the table, then we step into the space and we start giving knowledge or leading by example, or maybe workshops, or building a community, building the the guiding principles for community, building spaces where people can go in and be vulnerable and open up, and how a whole container is held. All these things are ready to go into the field. And right now is this formative time. We're architecting a new space, and every single one of them are magic. If you don't mind me asking, Pamela, what do you want to add into the space? This is all beautiful, and you're speaking all the same truths as me. What are we creating? What else are we adding? Everybody's adding their beautiful texture to a meal, to a new reality, to a space that's going to be able to hold the most amazing dreams and possibilities that we're here to share. And that's what I'm bringing forward. I'm sitting in this excitement of it, and you could hear it in the way I discuss things. It's time. It's time. Make your offering, put it into the field. It goes into your heart, and then it goes up through our pillar of light and joins with all the other pillars, because we all divinely are here to add those key ingredients to the meal. It's going to change everything for everyone. And we all know where the holes are and where the problems are, and we're all going to add our piece, but that's what it's here. Beautiful. Right now I'm meditating light into the star, through light to heal all. Absolutely. And we're all adding to this grid. I see all these pillars of light, and I created mine yesterday, and we're just shining out possibility. And we bring little pieces, just like the three wise men or whatever, we each bring the gifts to the table of what's now forming. So I'm dazzled by all your light. Thank you, Lisa, as well, and all the other people that joined. Just keep offering it into that pillar of light, that star. And I'm so excited to see what shows up. So thank you for listening. Thank you for all your beautiful comments. Love you. Your star is the sun. Absolutely. We got beautiful solar flares and other stuff that's all coming and cleansing and purifying. And yes, everything's connected to the sun. I believe it too. And I see there's big KP4s and solar flares going again here. So it's time. Let's rock this party and get her done. I'm ready. Thank you all. See you soon. Have a great night. Bye. Thanks for all the hearts and all the thumbs up. Have a great night, both of you, Pamela and Lisa.